Does your kitchen look like this? I hope not, but if it does, stick around. We'll show you what to do.
Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford, the voice of home improvement, with projects, tips, and ideas to help you improve your home.
This home is over 100 years old, and for the most part, it's in really good shape. This week, we'll be focusing on a room that really needs a lot of help. This room that used to be a kitchen before all of this demolition took place. Now, it had been remodeled around 40 or 50 years ago, but really didn't have very many cabinets, kind of gloomy looking, and certainly didn't utilize the large space we have available here. We're going to take care of that with this new kitchen layout that will not only provide more cabinets, it'll give consideration to the age of the house so that the new area will blend in with the old. Now, if you're considering remodeling your kitchen, we're going to have some great tips for you on this week's show. Don't go anywhere. You can really tell this is an older house when you see the lath and plastering on the walls. Now, we removed all of it off of this area because in a kitchen renovation, you have so much electrical work and so much plumbing work that has to be done. It really ends up being a lot less expensive overall if all of the walls are removed to gain that much access. Now, another side benefit in doing it in this particular case is we have two outside walls in this kitchen. So we'll be able to install insulation in the walls that never had insulation before. Now, the new owners will certainly appreciate that down the road when they start paying those energy bills. Now, let me walk you through what the kitchen used to look like. Now, over on this side of the original kitchen, we had a double oven. Right next to it, we had a cooktop, and the real problem here, no countertop space anywhere around it to put anything that you're preparing to eat. Now, we'll take care of that in the new layout. Now, next to that, we had a space for a refrigerator. Then next to that, we had a little built-in pantry closet. Good idea, but not big enough for this size house or this size kitchen. The plumbing here in the middle of the kitchen, of course, was to accommodate not only the sink, but also the dishwasher that was positioned right along here in the old island. Now, we're going to work with the plumbers to try to minimize this so that it doesn't take up any of the new island space for storage. Now, another problem that we had in this kitchen, and one that you really need to be careful of when you're planning your kitchen renovation, particularly if you're going to add an island, is to have adequate clearance all the way around the island. It's suggested to have a minimum of 36 inches, 48 inches is even better all the way around the island itself. We didn't have that on many of the sides of this island. We'll certainly correct that. Now, over on this side, we had a washer and dryer area, and not a bad location for a washer and dryer being next to the kitchen, but this one, not very attractive. Have we painted an ugly enough picture for you yet? Probably so, but let's move forward and let me show you what we'll be accomplishing with this kitchen renovation. Now, one thing we'll be doing is establishing a new doorway here on this wall to provide entryway from that direction into the kitchen. Then a big change will be removing this wall to create this large opening from the new kitchen into what will be used as a den. Now, that's kind of a modern trend being introduced into this older home, but will certainly make this kitchen appear so much larger. Nice little family area. Now, when you look at plans like this, it's a little hard sometimes to visualize what it'll actually look like, so I've actually laid out the footprint of the entire kitchen using some blue chalk. Now, one of the things we're doing here is you can see how the plaster is cut back. We'll remove these studs and create an opening leading from the kitchen into what will be the dining room. Then you see the cabinet line here, and actually this will be an area for the refrigerator right in the corner. Then we have cabinets that will continue on down, and then since we have this opening that will be established on that end of the kitchen, will enable us to close this opening completely off and regain this corner. We'll also be removing this old window and saving it for possibly later use on another part of the renovation. Now, this is always a good idea anytime that you can kind of reclaim a corner in the kitchen, because it gives you a lot more space for cabinetry and, in this case, a double oven. We have the oven with the microwave right above it. Now, going down this wall, we have this window that we will leave in place, and perfect place for the new location for the kitchen sink. Then down on this corner, we'll actually build a little desk section with a little lap drawer for a computer keyboard. It's a perfect little kind of home office tucked away right under the two windows there. Now, of course, we'll have the island here, and this will be the location after we work with our plumber a little bit here for our cooktop. It'll go right in this place here. Now, one of the things we'll be doing here, we don't want really to have a vent hood coming down and really taking up a lot of the space we have in this kitchen, so we'll be using a downdraft. Now, the downdraft is very important that you minimize the amount of space that you go from the cooktop to the outside wall. Now, here's an ideal situation because this home is up on piers, plenty of room to work under the house, and very little space, only about 6 feet from this point to the outside. It works a lot better if you minimize the run on the vent for a downdraft like this. Now, another real neat feature will be on this corner of the kitchen where we'll actually close up the existing door. We'll have a nice little corner booth, almost like a little restaurant setting over on this side, a nice, attractive way of accomplishing a little sitting area here in the breakfast room. You know, I love kitchen renovation, and probably most of America does as well, because it's one of the top remodeling projects that takes place throughout the country. And you'll see this one all complete in just a little while. But first, our simple solution.
It's time for this week's Simple Solution from home repair expert Joe Truini. Brought to you by Krylon. Innovation inspired.
Well, Joe, what's happening in the workshop today?
Well, actually, I'm just getting ready to go into the house because I have some plumbing repair to do under the sink. And in that cabinet, it's so dark, I can't see what the heck I'm doing. And I had a small work light I tried hanging in there, but it couldn't point the light where I needed it, and I was always knocking it over.
Yeah, it's always in the way when you have a situation like that.
So I came up with the idea of using a flashlight, a small one like this, and strapping it right to the drill. And I'll show you, with this type of drill, which is a T-handle, you need to put one rubber band in the back of the handle and one in the front. But then you just take the flashlight and slip it under. This is a perfect size flashlight. You can get them a little bigger and actually a little smaller, but this one I found works best. So just use the rubber bands to hold it in place. You just want to keep it back far enough that it's not hitting the chuck, because if you have it up here, it'll rub on the chuck.
Now, couldn't you just maybe use duct tape to wrap around there?
Yeah, you could, but with duct tape, the flashlight's in one position, and it'd be hard to change it. With this, you'll notice, in this flashlight, you can adjust the beam. Not only does it shine light exactly where you need it, but if you want, you can very easily adjust the flashlight to either side of the drill, because, you know, if you're holding it like this, you can move it out of the way.
Well, I could see where that would be handy, not only under a sink situation like you're about to work on, but even a closet or anywhere else that you would want to go instead of bringing out the work light up.
Yep.
That's a great one, Joe.
This room is starting to look like a room now that all of the wallboard has been installed. But last week, the guys that were really busy out here, our electricians, they completed all of their rough ends of the switches and the outlets, and a number of strategically placed recessed lights that should provide adequate lighting for the entire kitchen. Also, our plumber was out to make sure that he took care of all of the drain lines and water lines, and there again, very important that all of that be placed exactly where it needs to end up, because relocating any electrical or plumbing after the walls are up starts getting expensive. Another contractor, our mechanical contractor, was out to install the vent in the location of the island here for the downdraft that'll be installed later. That's very important, because the flooring, once it's put down, if this is in the wrong place, we have yet another problem. But now all of these things had to be done before we ever even started insulating the room.
Because of this home's age, these wall cavities have never been insulated before. So filling up these spaces will make a huge difference in the comfort level in this home. Not to mention the savings on utilities. The drywall hangers follow the insulators, covering up their work and transforming the area into a brighter space that really started to resemble a room.
The next step to make these walls look as good as they should is the drywall finishing. Our finisher will be in the next day or so, applying tape to all of the seams, then several coats of joint compound to smooth everything out and to cover up all the screw and the nail heads. Now, our carpenters were certainly busy last week with a little bit of window shuffling. Let me tell you what I mean. First of all, this window was originally right here. It had to be removed so that we would have more wall space for the cabinets. Then the window that originally was here was this size, and this is definitely too low for a kitchen sink that'll be positioned here in front of the window. So we used the window there, placed it here, which was at the right height for the kitchen sink. Then the window that was here, we moved over to this side of the room that definitely balances out this end of the room, as well as this will be a nice little view while we're sitting here at the restaurant booth that's being built by our cabinet man. Now the cabinet maker was out a few days ago when all of the wallboard was being hung so that he could kind of get his measurements and check everything. He's in the process of building our cabinets right now. Now one thing that needs a little help, the floor. Now this is a very old house, and this is the original subfloor, and this is the way they used to build it. You had your floor joist running this way, then you had one layer of flooring running in this direction, and your finished floor and it was nailed directly down on top of this. In this case, it's an antique heart pine floor. Well, all of that was removed. Then a little bit of fill-in had to be done with some plywood. Then the whole floor re-nailed so that we have a good, sturdy subfloor. Then, when the new floor is installed, after the cabinets are in, they'll nail down directly to this. Now, we recycled a few windows. We're also recycling the wood that we removed here to use out in the hallway. This is a lot of space for a kitchen, but it'll actually appear even larger because of the large cased openings we have between the kitchen, the hallway, and the adjacent den. This will all appear like one area, but we needed a little more storage area, and we're creating that by enclosing a back porch. Now originally there was a back staircase that went up to the second floor. We removed that, we put a floor system down, we put walls up on the outside and all of the siding on the exterior so that it matches up well, and out of that we were able to get what the homeowners are calling an overflow pantry. This is where she'll store things that are the larger quantity items that she may purchase for the kitchen and for the home. Now this area is well thought out. It's going to have some open shelving or cubbies so that when the children come home from school, this will be the drop-off area for the backpacks and maybe those dirty boots. Now we were able to create this space by doing a few things. I mentioned removing the staircase and building everything, but one thing that helped a lot is taking the entry door that was here, relocating it over here so that you have this defined space. Now the heart pine floors that we removed from the kitchen that I mentioned earlier will be used in this area. They'll be spliced into the existing floor so that when you come in the front door and look down this hallway, everything matches. Then we'll use a newer milled type heart pine floor to finish out the kitchen. Hey, we're going to keep progressing here, but first check out our best new product of the week.
Let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
Keeping your asphalt driveway sealed properly is so important to its longevity as well as just how it looks. Now, if you've ever attempted this project, you know how hard it is to mix the driveway sealer in that 5-gallon bucket. Well, now you can use a no-mix version of this from Latexite called Optimum. Now, this is ready to go right out of the can. All you have to do first is to make sure your driveway is cleaned sufficiently and cut back any of the grass that may be growing on the driveway itself. After it's nice and clean, then you pour a little bit of this out onto the driveway, and then the manufacturer recommends using a heavy-duty squeegee like this to apply the coating. That way you're getting enough thickness or millage on the asphalt driveway to protect it from the damaging UV rays. You just use the squeegee to apply it. After that, you wait 2 to 4 hours and you're able to walk on it, wait overnight before you drive a car on it. Now, material like this, if you're putting it down on a driveway that's never been sealed, you'll get between 300 and 400 square feet out of a 5-gallon bucket. If it has been sealed before, you'll get up to 600 square feet out of just one bucket. Now, you want to make sure that it's not going to rain on you in the next 24 hours, and also make sure that you follow the instructions so that you get the 8-year warranty that comes along with this material. At this point, our kitchen is really looking like a kitchen now that all of our cabinets have been installed, and they just completed it just a couple days ago. Now, Mark's still taking care of a few of the loose ends, including the installation of some metal brackets that'll support our granite countertops. It'll cantilever over our island cabinet just a bit. Now, the homeowners chose a very traditional painted cabinet with a simple flat recessed door that fits flush with the front style of the cabinet. Even has a reproduction glass knob on it that really looks nice. Now, the homeowners wanted a sleek look, and they really didn't want any hardware hinges on the outside of the cabinet showing, so they chose a European style hardware that tucks away in the cabinet and works well and is completely hidden away. Now, it only took a couple days for the cabinet man to install all of the cabinets, but before he could do anything, our flooring contractor had a lot of work to do. The job here wasn't just installing the new pine flooring, but doing it so it would match the 100-year-old pine in the adjacent rooms. The cabinets went in next, and they had challenges too. After 100 years, the subflooring wasn't completely level, and the foundation work necessary to change it would have cost more than it was worth. Of course, the counters had to be level, so the solution was to shim up the cabinets in the low areas of the floor. Our cabinet installers did a great job in leveling all of the cabinets up, but it left us with the challenge of how to really dress this out along the bottom. Now, Mark, I know you met with the cabinet man the other day to try to come up with a solution. What did you guys figure out?
He's gonna make us some veneer and paint it the same color as our cabinets, and we'll be able to rip it to fit the contour of the floor, cover up that gap.
Then you can just glue it or nail it in place, and that'll look a lot better than trying to put a piece of molding along the bottom of it there.
Yes, sir.
That'd be great. Now, I know that you were involved with all of the trim work, and that was one of our challenges with an older house like this, is using new material and making them look like the original moldings. Here it was very easy with a 1x6 and a 1x8 that we ripped down for the case opening here. Down below we have a 1-inch thick piece of wood we used for our plinth block. Then, for the baseboards, 1x10 pine with a little bit of inside corner molding, or commonly called Scotia molding, on top of that. That made it all blend in, but the challenge was this little piece that you just couldn't find anywhere. Mark, how did you make that?
We took some 1/2x6 pine and took a small round over bit in the router and routed it on both sides, cut it to the length and routed the ends, stuck it up there.
Oh, that's perfect. And once we get some primer and caulking and paint on this, it'll blend in with the rest of the house. Now, we're almost complete with this kitchen project, and when we come back, we'll show you the finished project.
Let's head outside for Around the Yard with lawn and garden expert Tricia Craven-Worley. Brought to you by TimberTech Composite Decking.
You only have this one bare spot left in your garden. I see you're about to fill it up with the seeds you're planting.
Oh, you know me, Danny. Every place has to have a plant.
Sure.
Well, I decided that I would plant some seeds here, and so I've got them all ready here.
Now, I always read on these seed packs about spacing. How important is that really?
Oh, it really is important, Danny, because you know when you put the seeds in the furrow, they're going to grow into a particular height when you need to divide them. So if you just sprinkle them in here all together, they're going to be so close that some are going to stunt the other ones. And then when you do go to divide them, it's going to be next to impossible to pull them apart. So if you properly space them, it makes that whole process a lot easier.
Well, are you going to just estimate it, or where's your tape measure?
No, I am not going to estimate it. Me and math doesn't work. And actually, I have created a tool of my own.
Oh, okay. You a built-in tape measure right on the shovel, huh?
Exactly. What I did is I took a tape measure and I laid it out on my shovel, and I marked 3-inch increments, and then the 1 foot is more apparent. And this way, I can use this as my guide.
Okay. Well, that's a lot better than having a tape measure out in the garden, because I know it can get wet. It can also get a lot of dirt inside the tape measure, and it won't last long at all then. This is probably the door that the homeowners will use more than any other door, because it leads you straight in from the backyard and the garage, and hopefully this will be used by the kids in the house to keep themselves a little more organized. Backpacks, books, everything can fit right in there. But one of the most impressive parts of this renovation is how open it is now between the kitchen and the den, because of the installation of the 2 large cased openings. That way, everybody that's hanging out in the den can interact with anyone that's in the new kitchen. Hey, this place looks good now, but before the renovation, it needed a lot of help. The original kitchen had plenty of space, but very few cabinets. It just looked old, tired, and plain looking. The new kitchen has tons of character, plenty of cabinets, granite countertops, and stainless steel and black appliances. Everything was so well planned, from the lighting to the trim down to the hardwood floor. I can't believe the amount of cabinets they have in this kitchen. Look how tall they are. Boy, this has worked out great. Now, here's a sign of a well-designed kitchen. The sink, the cooktop, and the refrigerator are all close together. That makes preparing those gourmet meals a little easier. Maybe they'll invite me over for dinner. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week.